All right, stick with me here. You're about to witness a noble lady who is mocked by her entire family get the ultimate revenge. Until Arthur stepped forward and said, "Eat these magical spheres and your true beauty will finally be restored." One noble started shouting, demanding to know what he meant, but this stunning lady announced that she truly believes in him. She had swallowed one before, which made her bloated, and everyone at the banquet thought the scene was absolutely repulsive. He walked right up to her and said, "Finish the set, my lady." Even the wealthy merchant lords were speechless. Should she trust this stranger, while the other high-ranking nobles are pressuring her to stop? Arthur saw her hesitation, leaned in, and whispered if she really wanted to stay a laughingstock for her entire life. Thinking of every insult she's ever endured, she found her courage and started eating while the entire party watched in shock. When nothing happened at first, a nearby lord started mocking her once again, calling her a lost cause. But pay attention, because this is where everything changes. A golden light starts glowing from deep within her eyes. Her entire physique begins to transform instantly, her features sharpening and her presence becoming absolutely breathtaking. Seeing her reflection, she looks like a legendary royal beauty. Everyone at the ball is stunned, and now those arrogant nobles who mocked her are begging to be next on the list. The glasses-wearing fool who was just insulting her is now groveling for mercy, only to be tossed aside like trash. It is wild to think this isn't even his main priority. Later at the Night Academy, the top athlete challenges him to a sprint, and everyone thinks our boy is toast. The arrogant noble was laughing, claiming a low-born nobody like him shouldn't even have the right to participate. It looked that way too. The moment the signal sounds, the athlete takes off like a desperate man possessed. Arthur just stands there taking the insults until the perfect moment. Then he kicks into gear and darts like a literal arrow. The blonde lord was shocked. The star athlete is left in the dust as our main character crosses the finish line with ease. He even gains some extra prestige points by waiting for the guy to almost catch up, just to win at the last second and shatter the guy's ego. Now you and I are probably wondering how a new student humiliated a prodigy. Well, he holds the strongest aura in the realm. 500 years of training, reaching the 11th stage at 65, and defeating the Demon King to save the world. But then his closest allies betrayed him. Seriously, why is there always a woman trying to ruin this man's legendary life? He was pushed to the brink of despair, and after that betrayal, it was nothing but pure, agonizing suffering. Vowing revenge, he wakes up in the body of Arthur Valerius, a noble kid cast out because his mana circuits were blocked. He was considered useless by his own clan until he took over. He has no physical power yet, but he carries 5 centuries of combat wisdom and a burning desire to settle the score. Fast forward after the race, a group of academy bullies corners our protagonist and starts causing trouble. Cedric and Silas, the leaders of the brawling club, show up to harass him, knowing the original owner of this body was an easy target for their extortion. They stole his gold under the guise of protection. Silas lets his lackey handle it because he senses something truly dangerous about Arthur. The lackey thinks taking down a weakling is simple work, and that one punch will end the fight. But the tables have turned. Arthur dodges effortlessly and lands a devastating counterpunch right to the bully's chin. To a legendary master, a club captain is just an amateur. He follows up with a massive kick straight to the face. The captain gets sent flying back into the stone floor, making the other bullies wonder if this is truly Arthur. Our hero asks if they're finally afraid. They charge him anyway, but he grabs them both, making them scream in absolute agony. The two collapse onto the cold floor, sobbing and begging him to let them go. Meanwhile, the leader who took that kick to the face starts dragging himself back up. He lunges for one last strike, but gets blasted away again. Arthur warns him that next time won't be so merciful. The bullies left on the floor are terrified, calling him a monster and pleading for him to stay away. But our protagonist isn't finished yet. Arthur reminds them that they took things from him that he wants back now. The trembling lord immediately hands back every coin he stole. Arthur knows he went a bit far, but these idiots won't have the courage to tell anyone. The academy is far too crowded and annoying, so he wants to leave immediately. Luckily, he managed to squeeze a decent amount of gold from his enemies. With this money, he'll buy the materials needed to craft some basic magic talismans. Talismans are essential for low-level warriors, and even in this weak state, he can craft them. Trust me, you and I are about to see him get very rich very fast. Now, he needs to find a quiet place for his arcane training and buy some rare alchemy ingredients. 3 weeks go by without a single sale. People in this kingdom view his arcane scrolls with pure superstition. Stick with me. We're about to see this low-level mage stumble onto something that changes everything. The poor creature is badly hurt, collapsing right there on the cobblestones in absolute agony. He decides to test his healing scroll on the stray, which looks like it was crushed by a heavy carriage. He mends its broken bones and failing organs instantly. Seconds later, the dog is back on its feet, barking with more energy than ever before. A nobleman sneers at Lady Sarah, saying it's just a mutt that doesn't deserve any concern. The young heiress of House Sterling snaps back, reminding him that he's the one who ran the poor thing over. Fuming, the lady intends to find a healer until she's stunned to see the dog perfectly healthy in the boy's arms. Shocked by the recovery, she demands to know how it healed so fast and what the young man actually did. Sarah saw the animal covered in blood and thought it was doomed, but now she's heading to the infirmary for something else. Our hero sees his chance to show off, explaining that he simply used a low-level blue protection scroll. But Sir Walter thinks he's a total fraud. He's convinced the kid staged the whole thing just to rob them blind. Now, pay attention here. This is where the lady asks the one question that could change her life. She wonders if it can wake someone from a cursed sleep. Alaric realizes she's trying to save a loved one from a coma. Enchanted slumbers come from internal damage. It's perfect for his runes, which use raw mana to reconstruct the human body. Walter scoffs at the idea of a scroll healing her mother, warning her not to even touch the cursed paper. Our hero calmly explains the process. Simply hold the scroll in front of the patient and let the magic do the work. He prices the large scrolls at 400,000 gold and the small ones at half that. The heiress pays 1,000,000 gold and takes everything he has. Walter begs the girl to reconsider, convinced that throwing money at this peasant is absolute madness. Getting annoyed, the young mage catches the man's wrist the second he tries to interfere with the trade. He tells the knight to mind his own business, since the lady already agreed to the deal, warning him that if he plans to stay in his way, he should prepare for the consequences. After crushing Walter's arm, our hero tosses him aside and finishes the deal with House Sterling. He throws in a bonus yellow shielding rune and a red fire scroll for good measure. He hopes she never actually needs to use those dangerous runes. Sarah thanks him for the gift and asks for the young man's name. He introduces himself as Alaric Thorne as he walks away. Walter is still certain this kid is just a clever con artist, even thinking it's impossible to cure a cursed slumber, but the lady will take any chance she can get to save her mother. You and I both know she's desperate, but now our hero finally has the gold to find a proper base. Next, he needs rare herbs to fuel his arcane progression. Suddenly, the dog senses something strange and barks a warning to its new master. Alaric spots a massive estate radiating high mana energy until he notices a peculiar plant growing deep within the manor's private gardens. It is silverheart grass. Back at the infirmary, one of the thugs Alaric thrashed tells the healer that the boy is a literal demon. While being treated, he vows to make Alaric pay. Meanwhile, Lord Sterling, the High Counselor, is absolutely furious about his daughter's recent behavior. He shouts that she's disgraced their noble house and that trusting a street rat's magic will make them a total laughingstock. The healers whisper about the young heiress who wasted a fortune on paper scrolls, mocking her behind her back. Sarah clutches the scroll tightly, determined to try one last time. This is her final hope to save her mother, no matter the cost. Her father tells her she's lost her mind and needs to stop these pathetic, desperate attempts immediately. Seeing her faith in magic, he mocks her for being delusional. Snapping back, she asks her father what he's actually done to help. She demands to know exactly how many times he even visited her mother during her long, silent slumber. She blames him for giving up, accusing him of doing the bare minimum and just waiting for her mother to die. She claims he just wants to find a new wife and move on. Enraged, the Lord raises his hand to strike her, but barely manages to stop himself. He growls that she's become far too insolent. He threatens to call the healers and end her mother's life support right then and there. Weeping, the girl begs him to stop. Clutching the scroll, she sobs and vows that she will never give up on her mother's life. Suddenly, the scroll ignites, and a brilliant blue light radiates through the whole room. The mother wakes, asking if Sarah lost weight. "Trust me, you and I just witnessed a miracle that will change this whole kingdom forever." Lord Alistair is completely stunned and rushes out to summon a physician. He calls for everyone. Against all odds, his lady woke from her slumber. Shocked, the healers ask if it is true and hurry her away for testing. The physician claims that after a year in that deep sleep, she might actually return to a normal life. Stick with me, because Arthur knows this miracle came from his secret blue talisman, while the healers remain baffled. The father calls it a divine miracle, and the healer demands they fetch Grand Meister Julian immediately. He wonders if the man who sold that charm was an angel. Lady Alara hugs Sophia, weeping for her past suffering. But the girl is just happy she is awake. Convinced God intervened, she vows to find that man and thank him. Meanwhile, Arthur has finished his first step toward returning to 𝑴𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒆 by finally moving into his new manor. He will never forgive the traitors who stabbed him in the back during his previous life. Now, watch closely, as he must reach the 11th tier of power to ensure his enemies pay the ultimate price. At this pace, his mana will run dry because the spiritual energy in this mundane realm is incredibly weak. To ascend, he needs an artifact overflowing with pure spirit force. He assumes only hidden springs or ancient relics will suffice. But seeing the moonsilver blooms growing right there in the garden, he is absolutely thrilled. After all, moonsilver grass is an A- rank material for any serious cultivator. Unlike common herbs, these are used for elixirs that break through power caps. Refine these, and he hits the second stage. But one mistake would be a nightmare. The ingredients for an ascension elixir cost a literal fortune. He thought he was being discreet with his charms, but it looks like he has kicked a hornet's nest. Thugs have been tailing him for 3 days straight. Our hero waits to see what this trash will do when they strike. You and I both know this is bad timing, as a girl suddenly appears and recognizes Arthur on the street. She notices he has been missing from the academy and demands to know what he is doing in this neighborhood. She remembers he was exiled for his frail body. Our protagonist knows she was the only classmate who ever defended him. She offers him gold so he can return to his studies by her side. Arthur refuses the coin, apologizing because he has urgent business. The girl suspects he is caught in some deep trouble. Meanwhile, our hero senses 7 hostile shadows on his left and 3 more closing in from the right. He knows he can crush them in a heartbeat. Arthur starts sprinting, and the blade-wielding thugs give chase. They corner him in a dark alley. Once there, they realize it is a dead end and try to intimidate him. Arthur just stares them down and tells the whole lot to come at him at once. 5 armed brutes block his path. A bald leader steps forward with a wicked grin, saying this will be fun. Our cultivator simply asks why they have been stalking his every move for the past few days. The man laughs, saying he has nerve for someone who made so many enemies. Why does House Blackwood care about him? That noble lady was almost Arthur's bride before the engagement was shattered. He thinks it is pathetic to kill him over a broken marriage, so he will beat the truth out of them. The girl spots the mercenaries moving in on Arthur and freezes. She knows his frail body cannot survive armed killers. She decides to summon the city guards to save his life. A thug calls her a stray cat and intervenes. He rips the messenger's stone from her hand with the look of a total psychopath. The gang hails him as boss. Our hero sees Clara being dragged aggressively by her hair by their deranged leader. The leader calls him a charmer because first it was Lady Beatrice, and now this little noble girl. She screams for Arthur to run for his life. She shouts that they cannot touch her because of her house. However, the bald captain mocks her family name. He says if they bury her here, nobody will ever find the body. The girl is paralyzed with fear, as the psycho tells her to blame her own foolishness. Just as he lunges with his blade, the protagonist vanishes and charges straight for his throat. He disarms the leader and pins him to the stone wall. Clara wonders if this is truly the Arthur she knew. Our hero delivers a cold threat, saying he will only ask once, "Who sent you to die?" Elsewhere, they inform Commander Kale that the Scarface gang is moving in the Loton alleys with a young hostage. And that's where we leave it. The commander is racing for backup, and you and I both know blood is coming. All right, you and I are diving into a world where showing mercy to traffickers is a straight death sentence. With no answer, he keeps barking into the radio to see if his man heard him, but his partner whispers in pure terror that reinforcements aren't needed anymore. Apparently, the kid they called a weakling just slaughtered the entire Viper gang all by himself. The lead brute sneers, refusing to believe a failure from House York could actually dismantle his elite crew so easily. Arthur demands to know if House Yorkshire or House Ambridge leaked the secret intel. He gives him only 3 seconds to answer, and the brute starts begging for more time. Arthur wasn't stopping, but the royal guard suddenly arrives, screaming for him to stand down and kneel. Knight Captain Kalen warns him not to take a life, or he will become the same monster he hunts. The young lord stares at them, wondering if this timely intervention was truly just a coincidence. He could escape this in a heartbeat, but revealing his true forbidden magic isn't an option just yet. He decides to let the brute go for now. The gang leader is stunned Arthur is this strong, yet even he knows he cannot fight the Crown's entire army just yet. Kalen can't wrap his head around it. One boy just wiped out a whole criminal syndicate in minutes. Captain Kalen officially introduces himself to Arthur of House York as the lead investigator for Kingsport. Morgan greets him, and the captain promises the Crown will handle the cleanup so they don't have to worry. Officer Felix also steps forward, introducing himself to the 2 young nobles standing among the fallen enemies. Watch this closely. Arthur realizes the Crown has been watching them much closer than he ever imagined. The guards demand a full statement, claiming they only care about the bloody incident that happened here. The High Inquisitor arrives and claims the criminals would have escaped if not for him. He accuses Arthur of unprovoked assault and orders his immediate arrest right now. He pulls out an official arrest warrant. Morgan is furious since those thugs were the ones who clearly attacked them first in the dark alleyway. Inquisitor Ulrich sneers, claiming he only saw a noble brat beating up innocent citizens for no reason. Kalen thinks the arrest is a joke since those men are known drug lords. Calling the thugs absolute trash seems to really set off the corrupt High Inquisitor. Ulrich threatens to strip his rank for defiance. Kalen doesn't hold back, calling his boss a total idiot. The corrupt cop tells him to watch his tongue before he's fired. Suddenly, Arthur speaks up, telling the guards to just take him in. He knows some powerful figure in the capital pulled strings to frame him for this whole mess. This is just the beginning of the traps, but Arthur plans to use this arrest to gather information. You saw that too, right? Arthur asks the Inquisitor how he knew he was a student, making the corrupt cop realize he just slipped up. After a pathetic excuse, our hero asks if his boss sent him to keep an eye on him. The Inquisitor ignores him and orders him into the carriage. As he grabs the man's coat button, Arthur tells him that his little plan is truly a shame. The man stands frozen in shock. He didn't even see the boy reach out and snatch the gold button away. Arthur warns that next time they meet, he'll take more than just a button. Ulrich is fuming, swearing to make the boy regret that. Time passes behind iron bars as a corrupt jailer bangs his steel baton against a dark cell. The target arrives soon. The The order is to kill. A shadowed prisoner closes his book, accepting the lethal mission. Arthur enters the dungeon under heavy guard, calmly scanning every corner for the trap he knows is coming. As the iron gate slams shut, he senses the hidden malice in the shadows. He wonders if his cellmate is the mastermind behind this execution plan. The assassin had a code for years. He hated the idea of breaking a scrawny kid like Arthur. But he got hired, so there's no choice. Arthur just laughs, asking if he's just another low-level pawn. The air in the dungeon burns. Arthur might be suppressed right now, but he can feel the raw, murderous power rolling off the man named Vane. He sees a massive aura of spiritual energy surrounding the killer. The madman screams he'll send Arthur to the afterlife in seconds, charging with his fists glowing and his entire body wrapped in raw spiritual energy. But as he strikes, Arthur vanishes. He reappears instantly, slamming his palm directly into the assassin's face. He whispers that he's confused, because the only weak person in this prison cell is actually him. Arthur slams him into the stone floor hard, but Vane surprises him by grabbing his leg and hurling the young lord across the entire prison cell. Our hero kicks off the wall, landing perfectly without taking a single scratch from the heavy impact. Vane realizes he messed up and promises a world of pain, but Arthur just pops him in the jaw before he can finish. The killer looks up, sees the face of death, and tries to defend himself. And that's where we leave it. Trust me, Arthur just proved that even in a cage, a lion is still the king. You and I are about to see a common thug mess with a reincarnated master. But Vax takes a brutal blow right to the gut, coughing up blood as he is sent flying. He cannot understand what is happening, while Julian just calmly stalks toward him once more. Radiating a massive surge of ether, Julian throws another heavy punch at his enemy. He smashes Vax's face into the stone floor, pinning his head down hard as he demands to know exactly who sent an assassin after him. He also demands to know how a thug got hold of ether. Meanwhile, Captain Hands asks over the wire what kind of monster they just arrested. The man on the other end laughs, calling him a mere failure from House Sterling, not some legendary monster. But the captain is not so sure. After all, Julian just dismantled an elite fighter without breaking a single sweat. Back in the cell, Julian waits for an answer from a broken Vax. The thug realizes Julian is on a completely different level than any ordinary knight or common man. Julian wonders if the people Vax mentioned are actually the mages of this land. Years ago, Vax met a hermit in the Shadow Duchy who channeled raw Kai into his palm and sliced a massive oak tree like it was paper. That mysterious hermit gifted him a single vial of soul nectar. Over the years, he drank the diluted nectar exactly as instructed. Bit by bit, his mortal body transformed into something far beyond the limits of a normal human. Julian immediately recognizes this nectar as concentrated essence drawn from ancient spiritual springs. Such springs only form in sacred lands, where the world's ether is incredibly dense. Julian asks why a man with superhuman strength would take orders from mere nobles. Vax admits it is for his son, who is dying from a rare, incurable wasting sickness. Sadly, the soul nectar could not heal him. That is why he became a mercenary. He needed the gold. When Julian hears the symptoms, he realizes he can actually cure the boy. Vax is shocked, but Julian explains that raw nectar kills commoners. He needs to channel it safely through a runic parchment first. Vax is skeptical, unable to believe such a miracle exists. To prove it, Julian activates a rune, and Vax's broken bones and bruises vanish instantly. Our reincarnated master decides to give this desperate father a real chance. Now watch closely, Julian offers a deal. Reveal the mastermind, and the son lives. If he refuses, our hero will end him right here in this cold stone cell. Vax finally realizes Julian is no ordinary lordling. He confesses that the man who paid for the hit was Baron Alaric Vance. Across town, a man scoffs that Captain Hands is terrified of a mere exile from House Sterling. That man is Alaric Vance, master of the Gilded Raven, and he is about to finish what he started with his current victim. He mockingly asks his guest what cut of steak she prefers. In front of him sits a woman, chained and gagged, her eyes filled with desperate tears. Alaric stands up, sneering that she is a spoiled girl who clearly needs to be taught some basic manners. He rips the gag off her face brutally, wondering aloud which of her teeth he should pull next to ensure she learns her lesson. This guy is a total psycho, right? He yanks her tooth out, leaving her in agonizing pain. His steward interrupts, warning that Lord Suma is asking questions about the situation regarding Julian of House Sterling. Alaric waves it off, saying a thug from the Shadow Duchy is already handling it, and he will visit the guardhouse himself later. Either way, he is certain Julian is already a dead man walking. Back in the dungeon, Vax hands over a pendant in exchange for the healing rune. Julian notices that the center of the cross pendant contains a drop of pure, condensed soul nectar. With this, Julian can make silver heart grass bloom instantly. He takes the pendant and genuinely thanks Vax for such a valuable gift. Vax warns him that Alaric Vance will never stop hunting him now. He adds that no one the Baron targets ever makes it out alive. Julian just tells him to keep his end of the bargain. As for Alaric, Julian promises to send his regards personally. Meanwhile, at the Royal Academy, a noblewoman steps out of a gold-trimmed carriage. The lady who bought the runes could not believe this boy was the exiled heir of House Sterling until she saw his portrait for herself. To make things wilder, he is actually her student. Seraphina is currently arguing with the dean about what happened to Julian. The dean wants no part of this mess, but Seraphina is determined to see the young man freed from his chains. Just then, Lady Isolde walks in and realizes they are all discussing the fate of Julian Sterling. Over at the guardhouse, Sergeant Cale is absolutely fuming at Captain Hands. He cannot believe the captain is letting a notorious criminal walk free after years of pursuit. Cale openly accuses his superior of corruption. The captain sneers that without evidence, these accusations are a one-way ticket to a gallows. But Cale knows exactly what is happening in the shadows. Looming over the young sergeant, the captain growls an order for him to reveal exactly what he knows. And trust me, you and I are about to see a massive showdown as the ladies burst into the office, ignoring every guard trying to block their path. Stick with me here. You're about to see this High Inquisitor lose his mind over Arthur, a boy who supposedly has zero noble backing. He claims the girl's friend is a thief and an outlaw, so he'll rot in the dungeon until the high trial. Sir Cedric calls out the lie, but the warden insists his hands are tied. He claims he can't leak royal secrets because of his high rank. Lady Alara demands to know why the syndicate members aren't behind bars too. Baron Vane sneers that he owes them no explanation and threatens to arrest them all for obstructing imperial justice. Lady Seraphina just smirks and takes a seat, daring him to actually try it right now. Absolutely furious, the corrupt warden orders his knights to drag these people to the iron cells and silence them once and for all. They're being detained as accomplices to the outlaw Arthur Valerius. Even Sir Cedric is stripped of his rank for protecting a criminal and faces a brutal interrogation. Seraphina asks if Duke Sterling will really stay silent, while this man just invents crimes out of thin air. Now pay attention here. This is the exact moment the warden realizes he walked right into a trap. Seraphina calmly notes that the coincidences are finally stacking up against Baron Vane. The Inquisitor's temper flares, because she's making this situation way more difficult for him. She suggests Arthur's mess can be fixed with gold. Vane laughs, saying the elite always have privileges, and she is certainly no exception to that rule. He mocks the time she was ambushed by Kaelin and had to fight desperately for her life. With a dark, menacing tone, he whispers that nobody would care if everyone in this room simply disappeared forever. Seraphina asks if Duke Sterling caught all that. A voice from her mirror stone confirms he heard everything since she called him earlier. The warden's face turns pale with terror once he realizes the Duke heard every corrupt word. His superior barks that for abusing his power and threatening a counselor's family, Baron Vane is officially stripped of his title. As she offers to reintroduce herself, Vane realizes Seraphina comes from the High Counselor's powerful bloodline. Meanwhile, deep in the pits, Arthur finally grips a pendant glowing with pure, spiritual soul essence. Seeing the supply is nearly gone, he knows he only has enough magic for one final, desperate burst. He senses someone approaching his cell and tenses up. When he sees it, 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒆, he's actually relieved to see a friendly face again. Elsewhere, a wealthy lord smashes his chambers in a total rage, screaming that everyone is useless. One man is dying and the other is rotting in a cell, leaving him with absolutely nothing. You and I both know that a desperate man with a blade at his throat is the most dangerous kind. His guard asks Lord Alistair for his next move. To prove his worth to House Crimson, he demands they bring the boy back alive while he prepares his finest armor. He decides he'll personally scrub this stain from the world with his own blade. Our hero spent every last coin on rare ingredients and is totally broke. Now, he's using those materials to forge a condensed mana pearl. He swallows the pearl. It's a violent, impure way to refine magic, but in this mana-starved world, it's his only choice. With a surge of power, he finally ascends to the second circle of cultivation. Using the cloud shadow technique he perfected over the years, his speed becomes godlike. At this pace, not even a crossbow bolt could touch him. He burned all his soul essence to reach this peak. To grow stronger, he'll need to find more mana-rich artifacts. Finn mentions hidden mana wells in the Silver Peak Mountains. But taking the main roads is far too dangerous, so Arthur decides to consult the influential local contact Finn recommended for a secret path. The cost is 2 million gold crowns, but his current pouch holds a laughably small amount of silver. On a magic mirror, he sees an advertisement for a miracle potion that grants eternal youth. It's a massive hit despite the insane price. Arthur realizes the noblewomen of this kingdom are obsessed with looking young and sees a golden chance to get rich. 5 hours earlier, he was dining with Seraphina, still shocked that she is actually the daughter of the legendary Earl Thorn. That explains her sway over the Inquisition. Thorn admitted he had a massive favor to ask of our hero. That's why he was invited to the feast. The Earl asked if he knew the Thorn Citadel. Arthur knows it as the heart of the kingdom's largest alchemy guild in 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒆. Seraphina reveals that her family owns the entire district. Tomorrow night, she's hosting a grand ball to celebrate her mother's miraculous recovery, and she wants Arthur to be her guest of honor. Back in the present, the festivities begin at the Thorn Citadel. Arthur knows he can't craft high-tier soul gems yet, but refining simple beauty elixirs for these nobles is well within his reach. So, he plans to make a fortune by peddling these low-level cosmetic potions to the elite. The perfect opportunity is right in front of him, surrounded by the wealthiest noblewomen in the kingdom. Seraphina's uncles sneer that a woman in her 30s is past her prime. They pressure her to marry soon, or she'll end up a failure. They claim she'll end up like her elder sister, Marion, whose youthful selfishness supposedly left her, with absolutely nothing to offer the clan now that her beauty has faded. He tells her she's simply unlucky, and the poor woman has no way to defend herself. And that's where we leave it. Trust me, you and I are about to see Arthur turn this ball into a gold mine. All right, you and I are about to dive into a story of noble betrayal and a secret that changes everything. He suggests she marry into House Thorn to avoid conflict, but Margaret refuses, citing her own private reasons. That arrogant man calls her selfish, mocking her by saying her youthful beauty is long gone and never returning. Arthur steps in, calling Silas a disgrace for treating the lady like some kind of broken, damaged goods. Silas is absolutely furious and demands to know who this commoner thinks he is. He calls for the guards until Elinor intervenes, explaining she invited him because he saved her mother with a life-saving charm. Her mother thanks him personally. Our humble hero is kind and tells her there is no need for such deep gratitude. Silas thinks they were scammed by a simple fraudster, but Arthur introduces himself as a brilliant researcher who studies the essence of time and value. He is also a key business partner to the powerful President Sterling. No one believes a man like him could be a partner, especially while discussing eternal youth through some product. Now pay attention, because what is inside this box is about to leave every noble in this room absolutely speechless. He approaches Margaret, asking for her hand before inviting her to take the mysterious elixir hidden inside the box. Elinor starts screaming, accusing him of trying to poison her mother with that sketchy pill. Margaret asks if it is truly safe, but Elinor trusts Arthur and decides to take the pill herself. Her mother joins in too, trusting the man who saved her, while the merchants laugh at the idea of real youth elixirs in life. Our hero whispers to Margaret, asking if she truly wants to reclaim her youth and stop her tears. With the men still hurling insults about her age, she swallows the pill with newfound confidence. The Sterling uncles are stunned she actually did it, but when nothing happens, they scream fraud and poison. Silas points his finger with a smug grin, claiming he knew it was a scam, but then, suddenly, Margaret's hair and skin begin to glow, completely transforming her into a stunning, much younger version of herself. You saw that too, right? Their faces went from mocking to desperate in just a matter of seconds. It turns into a wild auction, with the family realizing these rights would let them dominate the entire industry again. The company is failing, and the uncle tells his wife to stay silent as his billionaire plan takes shape. The Blackwood Guild offers $4 million for the rights to the product. Then House Rinko offers $20 million, but Elinor reminds everyone Arthur is her guest, not an auction item. After telling the greedy crowd to settle down, she moves aside to discuss business with Arthur. Silas offers $30 million, but demands 70% of the profits, leaving our hero with a measly 30% instead. He claims House Thorne's connections are vital, but Elinor reveals their house no longer has any influence left. Silas snaps at her, but she fires back about the $160 million gold he stole from their own grandmother's fortune without a care. With House Thorne's funds frozen, the bank's demand letters are brought out as evidence. Elinor's mother asks if he truly destroyed the company, and a shocked Silas wonders how they knew. The girl reveals he only came here to bleed her mother dry, just like he did to their grandmother. She refuses to give a single cent to her maniac uncle, knowing he does not even have those $30 million. When she accuses him of trying to scam her mother, Silas denies it all. He drops to his knees, begging and playing the sibling card, but Elinor is totally disgusted by his fake promises of having changed for good. Humiliating himself on the floor, he admits she was always the one who saved him from trouble. But she cannot ignore his greed anymore, especially after he destroyed their mother's legacy. She stands up and tells him to rot in his own mess, cutting him out of the business. Elinor gives him a choice: face the high court for life or sell his entire company to her for 1 copper. Sterling tells Arthur that real professionals are here and offers to introduce him to the true elite of the party. $40 million is a fair deal, keeping 80% for himself, but he must watch out for these corporate vultures. Arthur trusts her to handle the negotiations, and after the gala, they head back to his private estate. She sees the place is massive, but he modestly says it is just a rental. He thanks her for the carriage ride home, but she tells him they are friends and no thanks are needed. And that's where we leave it. Trust me, this partnership is just getting started. All right, stick with me. You are about to see what happens when a legendary knight is pushed way too far. Arthur finds a pool of blood and his hound beaten down. The moment he arrived, the thug sent by Lord Cedric warned him he was coming for the woman. Cedric wants Lady Alara captured. He believes seeing her in despair will finally satisfy the cruel demands of King Malachar. He hopes Arthur likes the grim gift. Our hero sprints toward his loyal hound and unsheathes his heavy blade. He uses a recovery scroll and realizes the dog is still breathing. He can save him with this magic item. Suddenly, a man appears hanging from the ceiling rafters, clutching a jagged dagger right in his teeth. The assassin strikes, but Arthur dodges and counters, stunning the thugs while telling his faithful hound to go hide. He glares at the rest of the mercenaries and asks who wants to die first. They rush, but Arthur drops one instantly. Another tries to strike, but fails. His arm is shattered before he is turned into nothing but a dark memory. The thugs switch to heavy crossbows and start firing, but right now, not even iron bolts can touch our boy. Meanwhile, the psycho Lord Cedric grabs his torture tools. He moves toward Lady Alara, who is trembling in total terror. The madman asks if she truly is the daughter of Lord Sterling of the High House. Suddenly, his scrying glass rings. He learns his men were slaughtered. He is stunned that they could not stop Arthur. Now, pay attention here, because this is where the stakes reach a boiling point for everyone involved. Arthur says he is coming and warns him not to touch the girl or drag innocent blood into their feud. Cedric curses Arthur for ruining his grand design and tells him he has exactly 40 minutes to arrive. Arthur crushes the message stone in a rage, vowing to find his enemy. Cedric plans to record her final moments. He rips the gag from her mouth, just as his guards begin frantically pounding on the door. Annoyed, he asks what the emergency is. The guards yell that the warehouse mist suppression has been triggered. Cedric had actually disabled all the alarms earlier, just in case the king's guards showed up. Alara closes her eyes in total exhaustion until, out of nowhere, the guards are sent flying by a massive impact. Fading fast, the lady calls out for Arthur. 1 hour earlier, Sir Percival went to deliver a secret introduction letter. He got no answer on the message board and stopped his horse at what should be the right address. Percival wonders if he is at Arthur's home. Then he hears the thugs whispering that Sir Arthur has returned. He shadows them and spots the mercenaries who were plotting to take down our legendary protagonist. They had already captured the noblewoman and locked her inside a carriage. Percival saw everything Cedric had done, from the kidnapping to the assassination attempts. He began tracking the carriage that took Alara and sent the secret coordinates directly to our hero. Meanwhile, Arthur interrogated one of the assassins in his house and made the coward spill every last secret. Wait for it. You and I both know the hero is not about to let this slide without blood. Cedric is furious at his guards because he had explicitly demanded they cut all the warehouse alarm systems. He decides to check the disturbance himself, as Sir Percival has already breached the inner sanctum of the keep. The guards complain about the kidnapping mess until they feel the arrival of a titan radiating massive spiritual energy. They draw their swords and demand to know who he is and why he has trespassed. With a terrifying grin, he tells them to be patient before attacking with his absolute, colossal strength. He tosses the guards aside like dolls. Reaching Alara, she thinks it is Arthur, but Percival knows Arthur owes him. The knight scoops up the exhausted woman to get her away. He moves as fast as he can with the lady over his shoulder before the enemy realizes she is gone. The escape carriage is just outside, but a sudden bolt strikes his leg and he falls to the ground, dropping the woman. Cedric brags that his crossbow aim is still perfect and that the shot was a work of genius. Percival wonders why they returned so quickly and how he could have been caught in such a trap. Cedric says the knight has some nerve trespassing. The two veterans realize they have not seen each other in years. Cedric thinks today is glorious since everyone came to be punished. He is trembling with sick excitement. Percival warns him that he will be singing a different tune once he is finally put down. Meanwhile, at the front gates, our hero arrives and the guards immediately notice his looming, deadly presence. Trust me, you and I are about to see some serious justice served with a side of fury. All right, stick with me because our hero just leveled a guard right through the castle gates. The next fool catches a single punch and hits the dirt. Before long, he is clearing the entire courtyard like it is a walk in the park. Meanwhile, Felix is struggling against the swarming knights and is starting to take some serious hits. He regrets ever taking this contract, feeling like a failure for not being able to protect one girl. Count Cain laughs, promising to slaughter the man's entire family next. But first, this absolute psycho wants to tear them apart piece by piece. Suddenly, the front doors erupt in a massive explosion, cutting Baron Hastings' threats short instantly. As the smoke clears, a dark figure emerges. Our hero coldly announces that Death himself sent him to drag the Baron to hell. Felix grumbles about the late arrival, while tossing his partner a glowing healing rune for his wounds. Now watch this move. The knights in Hastings start firing their crossbows, but our hero just blurs past the bolts since basic projectiles cannot touch a Tier 2 warrior. The Baron is paralyzed by that insane speed, just as 2 more guards are silenced forever. Seeing the carnage, the cowardly blonde noble bolts for the hidden back exit in terror. Hastings realizes he is in over his head. This kid fights like a master from the great houses. Desperate, he hammers the lift lever, praying for an escape. But the lift is stuck, and one of his own men comes crashing into the iron door. The noble freezes in shock, begging our hero, Harold, to just stay calm. He stammers that Duke Sterling is the one pulling the strings, and that Lady Clara is under his protection. Harold does not give a damn about some duke. He promises the noble will soon beg for the sweet release of death. Terrified, Hastings confesses that Earl Joseph ordered the hit because Harold dared to pursue the daughter of House Ambrose. Our hero checks his past life's memories, but finds nothing on Lady Sarah Ambrose. It smells like a total setup. The noble swears only House Ambrose has the power to pull this off, pleading for his life because that family is incredibly dangerous. He promises that if he is spared, he will clear Harold's name, claiming his word carries massive weight in the kingdom. Harold decides he is worth absolutely nothing and throws a brutal punch that drives the man deep into the stone floor before dragging him through the massive impact and shattering the front doors. Moving past the wreckage, our hero finds the kidnapped women and approaches them with a sharp dagger. You saw that coming, right? He cuts their ropes and tells them to decide exactly how much the noble's life is worth. He drops the blade at their feet, leaving the fate of their captor entirely in their trembling hands. A bloody Hastings tries to bargain, offering gold and influence to buy his way out of this nightmare. But Harold does not care about gold. The women seize the knife and close in on their tormentor. They do not want his gold. The only payment they want is to watch him die. Afterward, our reincarnated hero uses a green spirit rune to heal Lady Susan's injuries instantly. Harold tells Felix to vanish. He has already alerted the city guard, and they will be swarming the place any minute. He promises to return as soon as he has ensured Susan is safely in the hands of the authorities. Felix knows he has the intel now. When asked for his next move, Harold vows to burn House Sterling to the ground. Baron Hastings is finished, but the real mastermind, Simon, is still hiding in the shadows. So, our hero begins an intense training regimen, determined to hunt him down and end this once and for all. Out of nowhere, a late-night visitor rings the bell. It is an invitation from Lady Susan with a brief message saying they will depart the very moment his preparations are finally complete. He has no idea where she is planning to take him. He calls her up to ask why there is a fancy suit in the package. She tells him to check the card. It is for a massive gala hosted by the powerful House Harrington. Harold is shocked that he is actually invited to a Harrington ball. Susan explains that selling their elixir of radiance, there will secure their influence and help them dominate the kingdom's alchemy trade in Northwood. On top of that, it looks like his former fiancée will be at the event. He realizes it is Lady Sarah, the young mistress of House Ambrose herself. So he dons his finest silks and heads straight for the Harrington Estate Gala. He spots Lord Pierce and Sir Arthur, the biggest titans of the kingdom's business world. Our hero wonders if they are also here tonight just to grovel for Harrington's favor. Despite his own noble birth, he had no clue just how massive their influence truly was. Every guest here is starving for a connection to advance their own standing. At that moment, the head of the Harrington family arrives. As Sarah Ambrose enters, our reincarnated hero senses a strange swirl of magical ether radiating from her. He wonders if she is truly the same girl from his previous life. Duchess Eleanor Harrington stands right beside her, and Harold strongly suspects she might be a reincarnated soul as well. Trust me, you and I are definitely going to see if she is a hidden master from another world. Stick with me, you and I are diving into a night of noble schemes. Since she isn't hiding her 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒆, he will ask her about Julian later. Lady Seraphina approaches Countess Elinor, complimenting her radiant look. Elinor asks how her mother is faring after all this time. Word has reached the court that she finally woke from her slumber and is recovering well. Seraphina offers her thanks as Isabella notes the steady progress. She reveals she purchased the rare elixir of radiance for her mother, showing off the latest model in her hand. She claims it grants eternal beauty, and the Countess admits she has already heard whispers of this legendary tonic. News spreads through the ballroom that this is the final vial available, and the price is astronomical. Elinor recognizes its superior quality, calling it the peak of alchemy that cannot be found in any common market. She asks who brewed the pill, and Alaric is introduced. Isabella is stunned to hear the name Alaric of House Valerius. The Countess is shocked because she remembers him as a child, but now he stands before her as a grown man. She scoffs that House Valerius lacks vision for talent, seeing how this young boy mastered such high-level alchemy. Isabella warns that these skills might be useless here, as nobles of their standing only prioritize combat techniques, just like Alaric expected. Prestigious houses have already mastered ancient 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒆 cultivation methods. Elinor probes for his master's name, making him remember a red-haired woman, but Alaric lies, claiming alchemy is just a hobby and he has no master. Before he can explain further, they are interrupted by a nobleman who approaches to speak with Countess Elinor. Nobody recognizes him, but they whisper he is an ally of House Thorn who attended Duke Ashford's gala last year. Elinor welcomes him warmly as Julian. Our hero stays on guard, recalling the dark warnings he received about this enemy. The man jokes that Isabella would be furious if he caused a scene during the Countess's birthday. Elinor introduces the lady of House Sterling to the newcomer. Julian is entranced by Seraphina's beauty, claiming it is an absolute honor to meet her. He mentions hearing great things about Alaric and asks for his formal title and history. Now pay attention, because Alaric realizes this man is wearing a mask. How long can he play this game? According to Sir Cedric, Julian should be a knight, but when Alaric scans for his internal energy, he realizes the man is completely hollow inside. After the handshake, Julian says it was a pleasure meeting Alaric of House Valerius. He then greets Isabella, while Alaric remains suspicious. He felt zero energy ripples during their talk, and suspects this man isn't a knight after all. Even hearing Alaric's name didn't provoke a single hint of bloodlust from Lord Julian. The feast begins as high-ranking nobles gather to eat. Afterward, a herald announces that the dancing will commence in the hall. Couples begin to glide across the floor, while Alaric stays, focused on the fact that Julian lacked any 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒆. He wonders if he was deceived, and why this golden-haired noble would go to such lengths. A random courtier asks Lady Seraphina to dance, but she coldly refuses. Others whisper that the sterling mistress would never lower her standards. Every suitor is rejected. Even the prestigious heir of House Blackwood was turned away without a second thought. Just as the men debate what kind of noble she would accept, they are completely blindsided. You saw that coming, right? Seraphina shocks the entire ballroom by inviting Alaric of House Valerius to dance. Meanwhile, the fake Julian leaves the gala and enters a private carriage, ordering his men to keep their distance. They obey as the carriage rolls away. The guards wonder what Julian is doing in private. Rumors claim that Julian's personal retainers often lose their minds and fail to recognize their own kin. The guards are replaced daily, and the previous one vanished. Suddenly, Julian is slapped for holding another woman's hand before Isabella. The man apologizes. But a man with golden rings erupts with dark 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒆, stating he only keeps the puppet alive for its utility. If he fails this task, he is dead soon enough. This is the true Lord Julian, the Thorn heir. Not the impostor who was at the party. The real lord gets out and orders 2 guards into the hall. The soldiers notice the rumors were true, as only one person emerges from the carriage with the lord. They wonder what happened inside, seeing the disguised double tied up and gagged in the back seat. Back at the gala, the real Julian apologizes to Isabella, claiming urgent business forced his brief absence. He spots Lady Seraphina dancing with a stranger and can't believe it. He has never seen this man before. The pair dance gracefully to the piano melody, gazing at each other until Alaric pulls her close. She whispers that he dances flawlessly. To sell the elixir to House Silverthorn, trust me, you and I are ready for the chaos. Stick with me, you and I are about to see Julian Thorne outshine every noble in the ballroom. His balance is perfect. Beatrice asks Selene if she knew about Julian's insane talent on the dance floor. Lady Alara scoffs, saying even with those skills, he's just a peasant. She's watching him closer than she admits. Lord Cedric notices Julian's talent too. Arthur tells Beatrice he just met Julian, which she didn't expect. Even with House Ardent's power, Beatrice wonders why they can't trace a rogue child's past. Arthur warns they can't cause scenes in Norcroft since it's House 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒆 territory. Beatrice doesn't care. Julian's talent for alchemy is god tier. She wants to bind his potential to her own house. She won't let him roam free anymore. Arthur wishes Selene weren't there so he could kill Beatrice. He's already plotting a way to get rid of the trash that is Julian Thorne forever. Watch closely. The guests are gossiping about Julian and his ex-wife. Lady Alara prepares to leave, but first she corners Julian, claiming she knows exactly his thoughts. She acts like she's a priceless prize, saying his pursuit is pointless. Julian is just confused by her ego. Annoyed, she says brewing elixirs won't make him rich. It'll barely cover his daily bread. Our hero takes a slow sip of wine, ignoring her insults while she tells him to leave. Julian finally snaps back hard, asking who she's even talking to. He points out she's leaking spiritual mana everywhere. She has no control over it. The girl is shocked. How could he possibly know that? He warns her that forcing her magic might feel fast, but it's destroying her body. She can't believe a mortal knows her secret. Julian offers to fix it, but she refuses to listen. Julian tells her to believe whatever she wants. If she wants her body to fail, that's her choice. She's running out of time, and he's offering a business deal. He has one specific request for her. When Julian whispers what he wants in her ear, the jealous Lord Cedric watches from afar, absolutely furious. As the ball ends, the noble couples head back to their expensive horse-drawn carriages. Beatrice catches Julian and Selene, asking for a moment to talk about the restoration elixir. Seeing the Duchess show up in person, Julian knows she's looking for more than just a potion. You and I are finally seeing Beatrice's soft side. Her uncle controlled her whole life after her parents died. Only after being recognized as a high-tier cultivator did she finally break her heavy chains. Julian understands now. Alara is trading her life for power, destroying herself from the inside out. Beatrice tried everything to help Lady Alara, but no doctor in the kingdom found a cure. Like Selene's mother, medicine failed. That's why she needs our hero's unique skills. As head of the Apothecary Guild, Duchess Beatrice trusts Julian's instincts more than any doctor. Even though he's known for his pills, Julian can also craft powerful runic talismans. He realizes he's the legendary merchant cultivator. He thinks back to when magic was primitive. Beatrice wants a partnership for House 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒆, seeing the massive value in his work. Under the Duchess's control, the profits from the elixir have already jumped 10 times over. According to Selene, Beatrice's request is genuine because Alara is actually fragile and needs saving. Alara rebelled once when the marriage ended, a fact that catches Julian completely off guard. Lord Cedric steps outside and finds Beatrice with Julian and Selene. He acts perfectly respectful. He thanks Julian and offers a handshake, saying he'd be delighted to meet him again. Julian agrees, but the moment their hands touch, he feels a strange energy coursing through. It's a massive surge of spiritual mana, completely different from how Cedric felt before. Later, Cedric finds an origami butterfly in his carriage. He wonders what 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒆 gift means. He doesn't care. He tells his double to hold on to it and never open it. He still sees Julian as trash. He twists his ring, and deadly lightning begins crackling. He vows that everyone close to Julian will suffer and die by his own hand very soon. But trust me, you and I know Julian isn't oblivious. He's been eavesdropping on that glowing box the whole time. All right, you and I are dropping into a scene where Lady 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒃 is busy studying rare blooms when a sudden presence makes her spin around. A man pulsing with dark mana sneers that he expected nothing less from the prodigy of the Order of the Silent Leaf. Even with his wounds and his magic core shattered, his mana perception remains deadly sharp. 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒃 demands to know who this battle friar is and why he has ambushed her. If it is a fight, she intends to flee rather than bleed. The monk knows she leads House Sterling and doubts she will retreat. As the proverb goes, a lion unleashes its full power even when hunting a lowly rabbit. Though her strength is fading, these two are about to clash with every ounce of power they have left. 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒃 spots his hesitation and asks what he truly wants. The friar orders her to come quietly and avoid any foolish heroics. A second monk arrives, suggesting it would be simpler to just break her limbs. 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒃 reaches for a plant glowing with eerie energy. She promises to keep them properly entertained before she is through. The lean friar masks his face, wondering about the violet mist in the air. The larger monk realizes too late that it is a lethal toxin. As long as she keeps the emerald heart leaf under her tongue, she is immune to the deadly cloud. This poison cloud will buy her precious seconds to plan an escape, while the monks are distracted and gasping for air. Suddenly, a dark shadow with crimson eyes lunges and grabs her. This means the man in the fine coat is from the Dark Veil Syndicate. The stranger confirms he is with the Hidden Shadow sect and claims he was the one who wiped out the Silent Leaf Order. 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒃 argues that the time is not right, and there is no reason for them to reveal their faces now. Now watch this. She sees his face and freezes. It is Lord Alistair, wearing Arthur's face, vowing to end the head of House Sterling. Meanwhile, the castle guards use the shift rotation to grab a meal and catch some rest. They bicker over their dinner and what Lord Alistair might desire. Stealthily leaving the hall, our hero uses the phantom cloud stride. He slips into Alistair's chambers, holding a green origami butterfly. He releases the charm to track the target's lingering magical presence. He realizes the room is empty. Elsewhere, a fake Alistair is hiding in a back room, eating cheap soup and watching a magic mirror. He is furious at being treated like garbage, simply because he shares the same face as the real Lord Alistair. He recalls the deadly threats from the true Lord Alistair, should anyone ever uncover their little masquerade. Declaring he was merely a puppet kept alive by his grace, and would never be a real noble. Spiteful, he ignores the order to leave the box sealed. He opens it, and the green paper butterfly begins fluttering around the cramped room. You and I both knew he was hiding nearby. Arthur appears behind the imposter, realizing why he felt 0 mana from this fake. Approaching, he calls him a fraud and demands the true location of Lord Alistair, far away from here. A gang of thugs waits for Arthur to arrive as he walks, pondering the existence of a soul vessel in this realm. This suggests a powerful master is backing these noble houses, as creating such a vessel in a magic-starved world should be impossible. But if House Alistair possesses a hidden source of primal mana, the entire game changes. Once he deals with these pests, he will hunt for the dragon Heartstone to ascend to the next tier. The mercenaries surround him, complaining that he took far too long to show his face. They claim they were paid gold to break him and want to have some fun first, but one cold stare from Arthur has them trembling. The captain orders the charge, and the entire mob rushes toward Arthur with blood in their eyes. Blades drawn, the leader is certain of victory. After all, he brought the kingdom's most ruthless killers for this simple job. In a heartbeat, the entire group is sent flying backward by the sheer force of our hero's first strike. leaving their master shocked by his overwhelming power. Arthur throws a mana-infused punch, sending another foe crashing away in agony. The leader stammers, wondering if he is even human. Our hero calmly asks who paid for this pathetic attempt on his life. Meanwhile, back at Lady Alara's estate, Lady Seraphina investigates the crime scene alongside the royal guards. A guard reveals surveillance magic from 1 a.m., showing the moment 2 battle friars arrived to launch their assault. The vision cuts out as they breach the roof, leading the guards to believe that Lady Alara has been abducted. 3 invaders were spotted, and 1 left a clear image. They identify him as Arthur Pendleton from the gala, and Seraphina is stunned. She jumps into her carriage with the magical recording of the incident and races toward a secret address. Given the location by an informant, she arrives at the hidden manor, standing before the iron gates. Trust me, she's beyond furious. She won't let Arthur get away with targeting her kin like this. All right, you and I are diving into a world of noble betrayal, where nothing is quite what it seems. She demands to be taken to him. Her guard points toward the grand estate, saying his master is waiting inside. She spots several injured guards along the path, wondering if these men were even trained soldiers at all. She finds a battered steward serving the young Lord water when she arrives in a total rage, screaming at Alaric and demanding his men free her aunt immediately before she loses her mind. Our hero is completely lost. He has no idea about any kidnappings or her aunt. Furious, she points a finger right at his chest, accusing him of the crime. Alaric had no clue Lady Nora was missing and can't fathom why Seraphina would suspect him. She tells him to quit the act. She has proof. He was caught on the estate's magical surveillance crystals. He realizes the man in the vision used an arcane relic to mimic his face and frame him. Seraphina channels her magical energy, warning him to return her aunt or face the full power of her house. Now pay attention here, because this is where the truth comes out. His new guard swears they were together all night and never left his side. She snaps back, asking how his face appeared so clearly in the footage if he was here. Our hero reveals a different vision showing a man named Julian, but the footage looks like a fake. In the crystal, a guard named Silas explains he was Julian's body double and stood in for him at the gala. He confesses to using an enchanted ring to steal faces, only revealing his true form in secret locations. Seraphina is stunned by this transformation magic. Alaric explains he possesses an artifact with that exact power. She's shocked he owns an arcane vessel, an heirloom usually reserved for the highest of the great houses. Lord Julian tried to frame him by using Alaric's face to kidnap Nora. That way, he could eliminate Alaric and take Seraphina. She plans to hunt Julian down and expose his lies. But Alaric warns her aunt's life is at risk. Frustrated, she asks if she's just supposed to wait and do nothing. Our hero has a plan to turn the tables, making Julian walk right into his own trap. Meanwhile, we see Lord Julian using dark arts to drain life energy. Let's pause for a second, because Julian is truly twisted. He finds commoners boring to consume, while he grows stronger and stronger by the minute. If he can drain the members of the 100 Herb Order, he'll finally master the shadow arts. Once he reaches the first tier of power, he'll secure a seat among the High Elders. He'll recommend the monk to the Grand Master, who thanks him for the honor. A guard then reports they captured Valerius last night and asks exactly what they should do with the prisoner. Julian orders him taken to the Black Sanctum. He wants the prisoner alive, for now at least. After he breaks the man's spirit, he'll let the young lady finish the job herself. At the sanctum, a captain tells the thugs to stay quiet. They have strict orders to guard the holy artifacts. A guard grumbles about hiding like cowards behind the law while they do this. Lord Julian arrives suddenly. Everyone stops talking and bows, asking him to inspect their work as if they weren't just complaining. He tells his commander to make sure every soldier destroys their messenger birds before leaving. The commander is stunned. Lord Julian actually called him by name, something that never happens. The sanctuary guards arrive with a carriage to move Valerius. A masked figure warns the prisoner not to try anything. When Alaric arrives at the sanctuary, the silver-haired man greets him with a sinister smile. Our hero asks what the end game is. Julian just scoffs, saying he expected more loyalty after their last meeting. With a dark glare, he calls Valerius a worm for even looking at the lady in his presence. He claims working for Duke Harrington was a fatal error. He should have dealt with Alaric personally from the start. Valerius wants to know why he's being targeted so ruthlessly. Julian's reason is painfully simple. He hates that Alaric was the former fiancée. She's perfect, a prize born for Julian and no one else. Our hero is shocked that a petty grudge started this war. Julian says death is too good for him now. A peasant like Alaric could never understand the divine act he's about to perform. Seeing the dark aura rising, the young lord knows a massive spell is about to be cast. Lady Nora's life force is immense, even if her family's magic was weak while she was still free. You and I just witnessed a monster in the making. Julian is ready to become a god. Trust me, Lord Julian is starting to realize Lady Eliza wants him gone for good right now. He intentionally left proof of Margaret's abduction, proving he was the one behind the plot to take her away. While the villain twists his face to mirror Alistair, our hero catches onto the scheme and calls out the identity theft for everyone to hear. Julian remains confused until a masked guard sheds their disguise, revealing herself as the vengeful Lady Eliza herself. She heard every confession and now knows the truth about her aunt's capture, leaving the Lord in total, speechless shock. The lady wasn't supposed to hear a single word. Julian desperately claims Margaret is safe, pretending his earlier threats were just a cruel joke. Eliza ignores his pathetic lies and demands they return her beloved aunt immediately. Her mana flares as she warns House Amory that they will pay a bloody price for this betrayal. Julian claims he was framed, but Alistair scoffs, pointing out he confessed like a fool. The villain stands frozen as his trap backfires. Eliza has House Sterling's backing now and tells Alistair to retreat, thinking he's just an ordinary man in a mage's world. Julian reveals he is a mage too. Watch closely now as he orders his temple knights to strike down our hero. The lady jumps before Alistair, declaring she won't let these thugs lay a single finger on him. She stands as his shield. As the temple knights channel their dark mana, Julian tells Eliza to listen well. If she dares to interfere with his business today, he'll give the signal to execute Margaret immediately. She must choose between saving Alistair's life or her aunt's survival right now. Alistair tells Eliza to stay calm. Aunt Margaret has already been liberated and is currently safe. Julian's jaw drops in disbelief. He bypassed every guard and rescued the lady, a feat that should have been physically impossible. Staring at the magic mirror's footage, he's stunned. We jump back 15 minutes to the Blackwood Sanctuary mountain trail. We see the rescue unfold. As guards surrounded Margaret, Julian's strict orders were for them to hold their positions until his signal. He checked for pursuers, but missed the secret message sent by a traitorous guard, leaking every detail of the location to Alistair. Eliza wonders if Alistair actually saw this whole scenario coming from the very start. You and I are probably wondering the same thing. Is this the same man she once knew? The lords command their knights to bring Alistair down. Eliza rushes to intercept, but the holy men activate a binding spell. Glowing mana chains snap around her limbs, freezing the lady in her tracks. As she struggles in the trap, Julian mocks her, telling her to watch Alistair's pathetic death. Eliza freezes in terror, weeping because she can't protect anyone. She blames her own weakness for underestimating House Amory and for bringing Alistair into this mess. Suddenly, Alistair effortlessly evades a devastating dual strike from the knights who were coming at him with everything. He boots one knight back and slams the other into the stone. Eliza finally sees Alistair's true power and is utterly shocked. The fallen knight rolls back to his feet, forced to burn through a rare substitution rune just to survive. Like a phantom, the hero reappears directly behind the knight, winding up a blow that carries monstrous force. Julian watches that speed and realizes Alistair isn't human. He's a master mage, and his arcane pressure is absolutely overwhelming to behold. Eliza finally knows the truth. Meanwhile, Alistair has been waiting for this meeting with Julian for a long time. This snake sent assassins to hunt him, plotted his murder through Lord 𝒂𝒂𝒆, kidnapped his closest companions, and even dared to attack his loyal animal. He recalls the villain mocking him, saying that Alistair was nothing more than a buzzing fly that needed swatting. That is exactly why our hero intends to end this man's life as quickly as possible. Seeing the hero's magic, Julian decides to unleash a forbidden technique, even though the cost to his own soul is high. A titanic entity of raw mana begins manifesting around him, consuming the two fallen knights in a surge of violet energy. Alistair recognizes this forbidden art, a twisted method mortals use to steal power and reach heights they don't deserve. Those knights were just fuel. Julian plans to absorb their essences to empower his sinister shadow technique to a terrifying level. One soul would be enough to refine his power. Consuming two will launch his strength into a whole different realm. After draining the knights into hollow husks, the villain's rank as a mage skyrockets before our very eyes. Our hero is stunned. He never expected someone would dare to devour two life forces at once just for power. The Titan opens a massive eye, growing larger as Julian declares that Alistair will be the next soul to be devoured. Eliza truly underestimated Lord Julian. She never imagined he possessed such a terrifying and overwhelming dark magic. She blames herself for Alistair's fate, begging Julian to spare him. You and I just watched the stakes go through the roof. Let's dive into a story where an exiled noble shows his family exactly what they lost. Julian starts unleashing even more mana, and the phantom beast behind him grows into a massive, glowing nightmare. He charges straight at Alaric, desperate to send him to the grave in a fit of rage. When he swings that giant spectral claw, Alara screams for Alaric to run before he gets torn to pieces. When it looks like the claw hit our hero, he dodges it flawlessly. He stands by Alara and releases even more mana, creating protection for both of them. With red mana surging through his hand, Julian is absolutely furious that his strike missed the target. Alaric activates his first stage of ascension, and a blue aura erupts, completely smothering the villain's dark energy. He tells him his technique is pathetic. Alara realizes he is stronger than Lord Sterling as the pressure in the air weighs on her. Our hero lunges in and hammers a powerful, mana-charged kick into his chest. Now pay attention. The wounded villain sends his mana monster to attack with everything it has. The phantom creature born from his dark mana rushes at Alaric with everything, becoming huge and overwhelming. The villain screams insults as he attacks, trying to wipe our hero off the map once and for all. A blast of dark energy flies at Alaric, but he reacts instantly by manifesting a solid mana shield. Julian sees him using stage 2 to defend, and calls him a failure who will be consumed by shadows. Our hero holds his ground, bracing his arms to block the blow from his manic enemy. Breaking through the attack, Alaric rushes in with a punch, shouting that shadows are useless against absolute, crushing power. He slams the ground with a massive energy punch, making the earth crack open. He says he has found the source and drags a one-eyed shadow creature from the dirt. He knows the shadow technique relies on parasites that drain the host, and he has managed to trap the creature. He crushes it in his fist, instantly weakening the villain who loses his powers and screams in agony. Wounded on the floor, the villain cannot believe an exile took down a noble. He yells that a descendant of the Sterling family will not be defeated so easily while his grandfather still lives. If Alaric finishes Julian, the Umbral Shadow sect will send their most deadly assassins to hunt him down. Alaric realizes that powerful cultivation sects exist in this world too, including secret shadow groups. In a frenzy, the villain asks if he knows what that implies, calling him a worthless pig. Alaric walks toward him in total silence, while Julian screams that killing him will bring a curse on his life. Watch what happens next. He gets more terrified as Alaric approaches, swearing his clan will hunt him down to assassinate him. He begs him not to finish what he is about to do right now. He says if he is spared, he will guarantee Alaric's survival in the kingdom. He apologizes for what he did to the girl and starts begging for mercy, but Alaric says it ends now. He delivers a brutal punch that buries Julian in the dirt, sending a massive shockwave straight toward Alara. With a cold glare, he finishes Lord Julian, leaving him crushed and defeated. Our hero says it is over and mentions Lady Seraphina is safe and has already returned home. Alara thanks him, admitting she thought he was just an ordinary person, not a high-tier knight. She realizes that in the end, she was the one who was completely in the dark. Alaric says even if she had not shown up, he was already prepared to handle the villain alone. He examines a rough-looking spiritual vessel, noting it was clearly crafted by a Stage 4 master of mana. She asks why he was exiled if he is this strong. He could have been the family head. Our hero says he wants nothing to do with them. He claims he is still weak since he has not reached Stage 3. Alara wants that same stage so she can escape the Sterling family and become a free, recognized knight. As promised, Alaric is going to fix the problem with her mana-overloaded body. Her core is about to explode. He shows her a dispersal pill that will release the trapped energy, destroying her from within. Hearing about releasing her mana, she worries if she will lose her ability to fight forever. Her method is flawed because it stops her progress and shortens her life at the same time. She asks if taking the pill and doing this will turn her back into an ordinary person. Alaric says no, that is part of their next deal. He asks if she wants to know what real power is. Later on, the girl knocks on his door, acting shy. She brought her things and plans to stay for a while. Trust me, you and I are definitely going to see where this romance leads next. Welcome back. You and I are diving into the legend of a hero starting his journey at a mystical garden. She asks if he is leaving again, but he just stares at his glowing blooms. Once the Amaranth House drama settles, he plans to head for Ironcrest to find the sacred spring they mentioned. The silver leaf grass pulses with soft energy, perfect for Alara's training. Suddenly, his small pup trots out, and Alaric explains he is going to teach the little beast how to truly cultivate mana. While he is away, he wants the girl to guard the garden and the dog. She immediately loves the pup and asks if he has a proper name. Our hero says he has no name yet, but Alara insists that names give you a soul and a place in this world, so he must choose one. Alaric names him Rook, and the little pup barks happily, clearly loving the new title he just received. He chose that name after a legendary master from his previous life, who taught him every lethal combat move he knows. Later, the lady takes a bath and asks about her quarters. Our hero points her toward the guest wing, which is already prepared. She wonders about the Amaranth family, but the main character tells her that the whole mess is already handled. Sir Julian will not just vanish from his powerful noble kin. High up on the Amaranth Mountain, Julian is meeting his relatives. Now watch this, things get intense. They ask if the great uncle is finally ending his deep meditation, and Julian starts shaking. The massive gates creak open, and a gargantuan beast emerges, while an old voice echoes through the cold mountain air. 5 years are but a blink for a master, and the old man says he is honored they waited for him. Grand Duke Amaric appears, sitting regally atop a massive black lion that has glowing golden eyes. The clan bows, praising his breakthrough to the 3rd stage of immortality, wishing him a long and prosperous life as their new legend. The elder laughs, accepting their praise. He beckons Julian closer and demands to know what happened to that useless family exile, Raylan. Julian stammers that the boy was a total failure, and that he could not handle Alaric in the end. The Grand Duke is absolutely furious that the young boy was too much for them. The elder warns that the Amaranth clan has no room for failure, and that he will be cast out like trash. If Julian cannot finish the job, Jasper will handle it. Jasper and Tristan are ordered by the Duke to move toward Northbury immediately. If those two can discover what Jasper is hiding, it will be a massive win for the family. Meanwhile, 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒆 wakes up at 5 in the morning to train, grumbling because she would never even wake up that early for a spa. You saw that coming, right? Alaric explains that at 5 in the morning mana is strongest and your results will double. He hands her a mug filled with a strange liquid and tells her to drink up. The girl swallows it and feels a vibrant green aura surge through her body, leaving her wondering what just happened. Alaric explains it is a simplified mana pill. A full pill would be far too violent for her current physical state to handle. She needs a soft touch. This blend of herbs mixed with the pill's core is the perfect start for her training. Back on his original continent, they used this exact mixture to safely strengthen newborn infants. He notices the people here are surprisingly fragile. He tells her to get dressed fast so he can teach her the true immortal path. In the city square, the two meditate on cold stones, though Alara feels totally embarrassed being seen like this. Our hero explains that being close to nature is the only way to truly absorb the world's energy. The local park is their best bet. Some elders nearby watch the two, realizing they are actually practicing the ancient arts of mana cultivation. They assume the two must be very close to be going on such a strange, spiritual journey together. Seeing her getting distracted, Alaric tells her to focus and actually feel the energy swirling in the air around her. Her old training was just forcing energy inside, causing her body to trap violent, chaotic forces that were hurting her. Ordinary people cannot see these flows, let alone use them or protect their physical forms from the side effects. But she shattered her limits alone. Cultivating true mana is all about inner purification. Pulling out the purest essence to heal the body is key, and his method is way more efficient than her old ways. Her current mana usage is 40%. With his secret technique, she will utilize 100% of that power. Steering energy requires focus in the forehead, often called the platform, and she must struggle to completely empty her chaotic mind. Once the mind is a void and she finds that platform, she can finally start to guide the energy. Alara shuts her eyes tight, desperately trying to find that center in a mind that is currently overflowing with wild spiritual energy. But she cannot feel the flow because her father's dark shadow still haunts her. Trust me, you and I need to see if she overcomes this. Trust me, you and I are about to watch a simple lesson turn into a legend. Elena struggles to see her mana while sweating from the effort, so Arthur gently places his fingers against her forehead to help. Arthur helps her and tells her to close her eyes and try again. Borrowing his own mana, she tries her hardest to feel the flow. Elena strains while he sends mana into her, and the old couple watches the scene, thinking the two look absolutely charming. Finally, it happens. She can see the mana paths glowing inside her body like rivers of golden light. It is a beautiful sight, and Arthur explains that this is the true form of life energy, hidden from the naked eye. Arthur breaks the connection, declaring that was enough progress for her very first day of training. She needs to practice guiding her mana to reach the first rank of the knight's path. Later that night, while soaking in the tub, Elena remembers his gentle touch and finds it incredibly annoying. She tries to shake it off, telling herself to focus on her training and nothing else. A week later, Arthur is at an outpost provided by the Viper and wonders if this is right. Elena's progress is incredible. With these mana pills, she'll reach the first rank in no time. Confident she can protect their home, he prepares for his journey and spots the carriage arranged for him by the Serpent Guild. As he boards, the coachman eyes him suspiciously, thinking he looks too young for such a dangerous route. The coachman tells him the carriage is empty, so he can sit wherever he likes for the long ride. Arthur stays silent, but notices some shady figures on board. Sir Alistair is finally following the lead his informant provided. They've arrived in the city of Northgate, and the suspicious passengers begin to disembark one by one. At the city gates, these thugs confirm they have the kid's location and prepare to strike immediately. Standing before Alistair's manor, one henchman grins, eager for some action after being locked away for over 30 years. Before leaving, Arthur gave Elena a protective jade bracelet. a powerful talisman carved with ancient runes. He told her to use it only in danger. Meanwhile, Lady Sarah is distracted by her assistant, staring at the bracelet and spacing out. Her assistant knows that bracelet came from the man she loves, and it's clear she's deeply worried about him. She tells her guard that they're going on a business trip to a place she absolutely despises. A servant begs Lady Sarah for help, crying out that she was terribly wrong. Now pay attention, because this is where the journey takes a very dark turn for our hero. He's been on the road for 6 hours, and every passenger has their own rations for the trip to 𝑨𝒕𝒕𝒓𝒂𝒄𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒆, until a sudden stop makes everyone jump in panic. The coachman screams for everyone to stay calm and promises that they're all safe. Suddenly, a gang of raiders smashes the windows and storms the carriage. They are armed with blades, and a passenger screams that this territory belongs to the Rose gang. Without any mercy, the leader drives a blade into the passenger and ends his life, leaving everyone in shock. He growls that there is someone on this carriage who shouldn't be here. He demands that everyone cooperate right now and point out exactly who they are looking for. I know what you're thinking. Is Arthur going to stay hidden? Well, we're about to find out together. One of the thugs walks right up to Arthur, ordering him to stand up so they can see his face. The killer asks what's in his bag, while another tells him to just take the boy out immediately. Following his master's orders, he swings a massive blade at the boy, but Arthur vanishes instantly, leaving only a strange gust of wind behind. Our hero reappears behind the thugs and delivers a brutal punch that shatters the silence. The first bandit goes flying through the window. Arthur sighs, annoyed that they found him so quickly. The remaining 2 attack with everything they've got, but Arthur quickly smashes one, sending blood spraying everywhere. As that one falls, he's already winding up a massive haymaker for the next guy's face. In moments, Arthur drops every single attacker without trouble, leaving them broken and bleeding on the floor. When the dust settles, a mysterious girl hidden under a hood looks on in absolute shock. Arthur tosses the thugs outside and tries to fix the carriage, only to realize the axle is completely snapped. There's no signal for help, and if wolves show up, they're all trapped out in the open. So that's where we leave them, stuck in the dark with something dangerous lurking nearby. Wild, right? All right, you and I are watching as Alistair realizes reaching Lady Lucia will be impossible without tracking down his informant again. A hooded woman suddenly appears, offering a deal, protect her until they reach Greben, and she will find Lucia for him. Alistair shuts her down immediately, but she tells him to think again. Without her knowledge, his search is a total dead end. Now here is where it gets interesting. He knows those killers are after her briefcase, so why should he gamble his entire life? She admits he has a point, but asks for just one single moment. Revealing herself as Lady Gwendolen of House Lyon, she claims she knows he is actually hunting for legendary sources of pure mana. She opens her case to reveal a sample, and she is about to change everything. You and I will see what happens next, so hit the bell and join us again here at 𝒕𝒕𝒓𝒄𝒕𝒊𝒗𝒆.